April in southwest Florida is supposed to be quiet. The winter crowds are gone, the evenings are warm. The parking lots sit half empty under buzzing sodium lights. On the night of April 9th, 2018, that quiet broke. Witnesses near a commercial lot in Estero heard something that sounded like gunfire. Deputies from the Lee County Sheriff's Office were dispatched immediately. When they arrived, they found one vehicle, parked, engine off, sitting alone under a street lamp. Inside were a man and a woman. Both had been shot multiple times. There was no suspect nearby, no weapon left at the scene, no note, no witness who saw a face, just two bodies and an empty stretch of asphalt. Investigators had a problem before they even had a name. The victims weren't from Lee County. They had no ties to the area at all, which meant detectives weren't hunting a killer. They were hunting a reason. Why were these two people in this parking lot on this night at all? Before they were a case file, they were Danny and Deana Lorenzo, Danny and Deana to the people who loved them. They lived in Hernando County, nearly 3 hours north of where they were found. Both were military veterans. Both had built their lives around service, discipline, and a large blended family that depended on them. They weren't reckless people. They didn't run in dangerous circles. They kept routines. They showed up when they said they would. Which is exactly why their presence in a dark commercial lot hundreds of miles from home made no sense to anyone who knew them. To understand what happened, investigators had to rebuild the last day of their lives, hour by hour. Every phone call, every stop, every dollar. The timeline started with money. Earlier that day, the Lorenzos had gone to their bank and withdrawn roughly $3,000 in cash. Digital forensics on their home computer explained why. Danny collected firearms. He'd arranged a private purchase through an online classified site. The seller gave specific instructions: meet in Estero, bring cash, come alone. They drove south on I-75 as the sun dropped low. They pulled into the lot right at dusk, and they waited. The meeting was never real. The listing was bait. The cash was the target. The Lorenzos were ambushed the moment they stepped out of that transaction, and whoever did it vanished into the dark before a single deputy arrived. Crime scene technicians processed the vehicle and the surrounding lot for days. They found almost nothing. No shell casings left behind that led anywhere, no fingerprints, no camera angle that caught a face. The execution had been fast, and it had been clean. So investigators turned to the phones. They pulled the number used to arrange the meeting. It traced to a prepaid burner. No name attached, no billing address, no subscriber history. The phone had been switched on only to lure the Lorenzos to that lot, and switched off permanently right after. The trail ended before it began. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into a year. Then 2. The case file didn't close, but it did go quiet. The Lee County Sheriff's Office and federal partners kept working it in the background, while the Lorenzo family lived with an absence and no answer for why. The break, when it came from inside the data itself. Every cell phone broadcasts 2 separate identifiers to a tower: the IMEI, a permanent number burned into the hardware itself, and the SIM, the card that carries the phone number and the account. Every time a phone connects, the network logs both together in the same record. Investigators already had the burner's phone number, which meant they already had the exact IMEI of the physical device the killer had held in his hand. So they pulled years of historical tower logs, searching for one specific question. Had this hardware ever connected using a different SIM card, a personal one? The answer was yes. Weeks before the murders, for one brief connection, someone had swapped the burner SIM out and slid in their own personal card. Maybe to check a message, maybe by accident. It lasted seconds, but cell towers don't forget seconds. That single swap linked an anonymous piece of plastic to a real identity. The data led investigators to two men. Both had fought overseas as part of a right-wing paramilitary outfit in Ukraine. Both were trained in weapons, tactics, and combat operations. Neither had any history as a small-time robber. Search histories and messages pulled from their devices filled in the motive. They wanted funding to travel and fight as mercenaries again, this time somewhere else entirely. International travel and combat gear cost money they didn't have, so they built a lure, a fake gun listing designed to draw in someone with cash on hand and no reason to expect an ambush. Cell tower data reconstructed the whole operation. The men traveling across the state that afternoon, the approach to the lot as evening fell, the ambush itself, quick and rehearsed, the $3,000 taken, the immediate flight from the scene. Two trained killers had planned an execution around a stranger's cash and treated two human lives as a funding source for a war that wasn't theirs to fight. Federal indictments followed. Because the crime crossed state lines and was arranged through an online platform, the charges reached further than a typical homicide case. Robbery affecting commerce, firearm use causing death, violations tied to foreign combat activity. One man was arrested inside the United States. The other had already fled the country, and a lengthy multi-agency manhunt followed before he was finally tracked down and extradited, a process that stretched years into the following decade. Federal prosecutors built their case around the digital trail, the IMEI, the SIM swap, the tower logs, the search histories. Both men were convicted. Both received life sentences. But no verdict gave the Lorenzo family back what they lost. Danny and Deana weren't targeted for anything they did. They were targeted because they had cash, and because two men needed it more than they valued a stranger's life. The investigation is remembered now for its forensic innovation. The IMEI to SIM technique became a model other agencies would later study. But that isn't really what this story is about. It's about two veterans who spent their lives in service, first to their country, and then to a large family that depended on them completely. They were reliable. They were present. They were loved. And in the end, it was a single careless moment, a phone swapped for seconds, months before anyone knew their names, that finally brought their killers into the light. Danny and Deana Lorenzo are remembered not for how they died, but for the 20 years before it, spent showing up for the people who needed them most.